I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Montana Method Podcast. One more time, I'm very ecstatic to be with you guys today. Very, very special day. I've been working to get to in one piece for a very long time. Dear friend of mine, Ross Mandell, is on the show. Very exclusive interview. Don't know when this is going to be released, but I'm happy that I'm the first, and I'm honored, my friend, to have you here. My friend Mark Astor as well. Have you guys on the show. We're going to get into all kinds of things. His story, how far he's come, how we met, and all the great things we're going to get into that we probably would have accomplished by the time you see this. So,
thank you for having us, Nelson. What a privilege it is to be here today.
Appreciate you, Ross. How you feeling?
You know, I'm a little tired. It's been a long day. I haven't slept in several days, but as of this morning, I'm a free man. And until you've lost your freedom, you have no idea what it feels like to get your freedom back. So, wow.
They say you don't know what something costs or what something is worth until you lose it, right? So
that's until you want to buy it either. You don't know what something's worth till you try and buy it.
Right.
When you go to sell it, who knows? But to be here with Mark, who's my brother, my attorney, Nelson, my Cuban brother, hermano, just so excited to be here today. Really, it's what a privilege.
It's well, what's that old saying? The grass always looks greener on the other side. I think it is.
Today the grass is greener.
Definitely.
It's much greener.
It's definitely a different piece of grass. How's that?
Definitely. For sure.
Freedom is, health and freedom. You know, the two biggest ingredients, the most important ingredients in the word success. Because if you're not healthy and if you're not free,
you got nothing.
Then you got nothing. You got nothing. You got nothing but a story. So, wow, what a day.
It's one of those days where you look back and, you know, I've noticed that everybody who's a big deal or everybody who's done something in life worth talking about, they always can point back to one pivotal moment or one day they can point back to where they said, all right, that was the beginning of this, you know, of who I am today. And it feels like today might be that day for Ross Mandell.
You know, I've had a lot of pivotal days in my time. I've had some journalists write some very interesting stories about me over the years. The Art of Survival and my comeback story in Forbes in 2005. But this is really Ross 3.0. This is the beginning of what I like to think is my final run. And I have so much to be grateful for, so much to be thankful for. And I just want to give back. I want to do the right thing. I want to honor people that you know, as a young man and as an adult, I spent all my life hustling in business, taking, providing value, but basically taking. And now it's time to just give, inspire, motivate, and try and become the single best version of Ross Mandell that I can be.
I love that. Ross, I've been meaning to ask you a question. Most people, you know, you just turned 29 the other day. No, I'm kidding.
It's true. 39.
Most people
Don't tell anybody.
would say at this point in their life, especially with all the obstacles you faced, would say, you know what, I've lived a good life. Let me just be with my family, spend time with my wife and kids, enjoy time with them, and let's see what life brings. What is the driving force? Like, why go for more and why outdo yourself at this point in your life?
You know, I've been interviewed before, and I've shared very frankly that I've had a brutal life. And the truth of the matter is I've had a glorious life. But there's been some brutal episodes. I lost my father when I was 16. He dropped dead of a heart attack in 1973. 16 years old. I entered the world of drug addiction and alcoholism, acting out with women, with money, with things. And I discovered the stock market, the world of finance, Wall Street, learned how to basically print money from the greatest that ever played the game. household names in finance. And I sort of became one on my own. And at 33, I discovered the world of sobriety. Alcoholics Anonymous. I've shared about this on video. It's the greatest technology of the 20th century, in my opinion. And as a sober man, very successful, I discovered a woman, the dream, the love of my life, married, 2 beautiful daughters. We bought homes. We had dogs. And I just had a beautiful, beautiful life, accomplished so much. And then one day, boom, out of nowhere, FBI comes in and raids my place, my bank on Wall Street, running 2 public companies as the founder, as the CEO. I founded, I floated and funded over 100 companies. And next thing you know, I'm fighting the government since November of 06. And I've just completed a federal sentence. I've been in custody since September of 2014. I've completed 112 months in federal custody. For those of you that are not great at math, that's 9 years and 4 months. That's a lot of days. And today's my first day back as a free man, putting all this behind me. And the question is, what am I going to do now and why? And again, I've had a chance to sit back and think and review my life and chat with people that stood by me during this whole process. And I do not think that the best version of Ross Mandell has been seen. I do not think that the best version of me has yet been on display. And I would like my friends, I'd like my family, most importantly, and I'd like to look in the mirror one day and say how I overcame all these obstacles. I didn't retreat to the beach or some villa or on my yacht. I came back into the fray. I rolled up my sleeves and said, hey, let me do some good in this world. Let me see how much I can inspire, how much I can achieve for others. And you're one of those people, Armando. I mean, you're a spectacular young talent.
Thank you.
And I'm so proud of you, just getting to know you and seeing the things that you've accomplished for yourself. And I want to see what sort of effect, what sort of a stimulus or an impact I can have on you and your career. And yeah, as my wife likes to say, you know, it's not so much about you anymore. It's about the guys that you can influence, the people that you can bring with you on this journey and make them great. Just like there were people that taught me the game, that taught me how to sell, how to price deals, how to structure companies, how to go public. You know, you don't just do these things in a vacuum. These things just don't happen on your own. You know, teamwork, you build a team and you affect each other's lives in a positive way. And I want to inspire you, and that's what I want to do. And I want to see how much good I can do before my final act and the final curtain comes down. Sincerely.
That's phenomenal. Mark, you've been with him throughout this whole exciting, frightening ride. So tell me a bit about your experience throughout this whole shenanigan.
Well, I'm a lawyer in private practice in Boca. So Ross and I, just to go back a little bit, Ross and I knew each other socially. In fact, his girls went to school with my nieces, and we sort of knew each other socially. I was familiar with what was happening in his life. I sort of, like a lot of people, watched, you know, on from 10,000 feet to see what was happening, and then of course, you know, got the terrible news that he was definitely going to be going to prison. And you know, it's interesting. We talk about, you know, moments in time. Do you remember where you were? Those things. So I remember exactly where I was when I got involved in the case, and I'd called Stephanie, Ross's wife, who really became like my Erin Brockovich. I mean, without her, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'll be candid with you. I mean, like I'm a good lawyer, but I mean, she was my right hand through the whole thing. And I mean, I had called her just frankly to see how they were, because I knew the lifestyle that Ross had. And I mean, to say that he lost everything that a man can lose, I think is almost an understatement and, you know, almost disrespectful. But he lost everything that a man could lose. And I called because I knew Stephanie socially to see how she was doing. And she, said to me, "We're filing this motion. We're gonna make a claim of ineffective assistance of counsel." And I said, "Well, I'd like to take a look at that," because I'd been a prosecutor for a number of years. I'd actually had testified in one of those hearings. And I said, "Can I take a look at it?" And when I looked at it and I realized what had been done to him, I was like, "Okay, I got to help. I mean, there's just no way it's not part of who I am just to stand on the sideline and watch a friend, take this, And so I got involved, and I think it took us, was it 7 years ultimately to be sitting here. But I mean, there were moments, and I remember sitting in my office and talking to my now wife and saying, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know how. I mean, because it was just me versus the federal government. I mean, and when we talk about the federal government, we're talking about unlimited resources, unlimited power, and as the old saying goes, that if the federal government wants you, I mean, they can indict a ham sandwich, right?
You can't fight City Hall, as my friend says.
Yeah, I mean, that's who you're dealing with. And there were times I'm like, I don't know if we'll ever get there. But we did a number of times, actually. And I guess we'll go into that. But we did. I think, was it 5.5 years the first time?
He is the best lawyer. Now, take it from me. In federal court, the United States government called me the king of legal opinions. They went on to show how I spent $23 million on legal fees. This is in the case. It's in the transcripts. Check it out. $23 million I paid lawyers to show me the right way to do things. Yet they say I'm a criminal. I mean, a criminal would have spent 10 cents on lawyers and pocketed $23 million, correct?
Right.
But no, I endeavored to get everything right. And I had the best law firms. But, you can't fight City Hall, as my friend says over and over again. And it took me, women have a great expression. They say that I had to kiss a lot of frogs to get that prince. Well,
am I your prince?
He's my
So you're
prince.
telling me?
This man is the best. He's the only lawyer with integrity I've ever known. And he's a fighter. I mean, legitimately, he's a Krav Maga fighter. And
The bionic man we see with the
when you're fighting the government, you need a fighter. You need a real man to stand in there because you're going to take a lot of shots.
Oh yeah.
If any of you see what they're doing to the former President Trump, he's the odds-on favorite to be the next president. They hit him with 92 counts. 92 counts. And cases all over the place. But it's legit, right? I mean, talk about a scam. And when you're fighting that sort of power, you need somebody that's going to stand in there, that's not going to be timid, not going to be shy, not going to be, threatened.
Intimidating.
Because it's all coming.
Yep.
And I can say with love in my heart, I love this man. And he went to bat for me and ultimately got me out of prison.
I can share with you and share with the audience that and I've said this on my podcast before, having the weight of the federal government, the full weight of the federal government come down on you is the most uncomfortable and clarifying experience in my life personally, and I'm sure Ross can say the same thing. It's an experience I don't wish on my worst enemy, and I say that with 100% honesty, with all my heart and soul. It's something that makes you really realize how insignificant. Like, after I got indicted, I realized how insignificant the garbage I used to get upset about was. You know what I mean? I realized how insignificant certain things about how I operated was, because my life could be over at any moment. And it just brought so much clarity into what I wanted to do with my life. That's why I wrote my book. That's why I started my podcast, because after I got indicted, my whole life fell apart. I had nothing to show for it. I lost my business. I lost everything. And I said, if I die tomorrow, there's no proof that I was on this planet.
I saw that podcast, Nelson, just so you know. And you actually said there's no proof that I ever lived.
Yeah.
And, I took offense with that because I would testify on a stack of Bibles that you've lived. And you're a very good dude, and you're a young, promising talent. And, somebody said to me that you take a piece of coal and you put it under millions of years and millions of tons of pressure and millions of degrees of heat. I mean, really, pressure, torture. And you know what you get? You end up with a diamond, the most beautiful. the toughest, hardest substance known to man, and probably the most valuable, next to maybe plutonium. And so what you do with the rest of your life now, God willing, will be shaped by that experience. But if you look at yourself and say, I'm a piece of coal that went through the ringer, and now I'm a diamond. I mean, there's a lot of power in that. And you got to believe it, and you got to know it. See, I see it in you. I know the people that follow you see that in you. But you got to see that in you, you know? You got to have that little machismo.
100%.
And I think you have it. It's coming. I'm so proud of you, and I love the path that you're on.
I appreciate that, Ross. Thank you. The darkness is definitely something I embrace. Dark experiences in life, because through that darkness is you find out how much brightness and how much light there can be. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So, Mark, let's go back to what you were talking about. So you pick up the case. You said 5.5 years ago, right?
So it was closer to 7 now. So, I mean, the initial claim was one of ineffective assistance of counsel. Basically, we were arguing with that his lawyers didn't meet any kind of, constitutional standard for a lawyer that's handling a criminal case of, Ross's magnitude. And, I looked at it, I reviewed it. Stephanie was there with me. We reviewed everything. And obviously it got filed and denied. I think there were responses. There was a reply to the response. I mean, it was these. I mean, you got to understand. There's no sort of time frame for these things. They get filed, and the judge gets to it when the judge gets to it. And I mean, and the judge doesn't care because you're already doing the time. So what difference does it make if he gets to it this week or next year? It just doesn't matter, especially in federal court. It's a totally different animal from state court, where I was prosecutor and defense lawyer. And so, I mean, look, we had that initial ineffective assistance of counsel claim, which was denied. And then we had, I think it was a 60B. Was that the one?
Well, there was a 60B, 60A through D. I mean, you file, they answer, you get to refile, the judge disappears for 2 years, and then he says denied.
Well, and then
that's pretty much how it goes for everybody.
And then things got a little interesting, because there was. I think one of the things we realized was that we believed that the government had been intentionally sitting on evidence.
Withholding evidence.
Which had to do with the lawyer and with Ross's criminal defense lawyer and his corporate lawyer. And so, I mean, I made a request. They denied it. I appealed it. They denied it. And then I said, Ross, I think we're going to have to file a lawsuit here. He's like, okay, file a lawsuit. Now, you got to understand something. I had never handled something of this magnitude, so I was sort of learning as I went. But all my experiences, doing as a prosecutor and defense lawyer, all sort of really came in handy. We just, now we're dealing with something on a much larger scale, and we're in federal court. And so I said, okay, I'm going to need a little help with this. And I found a lawyer in Chicago, and I said, I've got this client. His name is Ross Mandell. You might want to Google him and see if you want to help me. I said, we want to file this, Freedom of Information Act claim down here in Miami. So he took a look at it, and I guess he did a little research, and I called him back and said, sure, I'm in. And so we filed a lawsuit, and we went to federal court. Stephanie was sitting there. The lawyer was phenomenal, to say the least. He was absolutely terrific.
The newspapers showed up.
Yeah.
I read about it in the newspaper.
I mean, he wiped the floor with the prosecutor, who honestly was poor at best. And I'm like, I remember actually Steph and I and the lawyer, we went to lunch afterwards, and we called Ross from the car. And honestly, I think we were all like, yeah, all right, we got this. Now we got them on their heels. They're either going to have to come to us, make a deal, or they're going to have to disclose this information, which we know they're not going to want to do, because now you're opening up Pandora's box of inappropriate conduct involving government lawyers, criminal defense lawyers, corporate lawyers. There's no way they're going to want to go there. And I think, to our shock and frankly disappointment, the federal magistrate in Miami denied the claim.
What a shock.
Yeah. But Ross wasn't surprised. He's like, listen, this is all part of what's really going on here. I mean, we were disappointed, honestly, because I really thought that was our best shot to get him out.
Even though the government prosecutor, Assistant United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, admitted on the record that they have withheld evidence. Admitted it. Judge said, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, let it go.
No harm, no foul.
They don't care. They don't want to disgrace their own.
I think
it's a frightening thing.
I think the government, took the position, look, he's already had his day in court. A jury found him guilty. What do I need to open up, go back in time and try and unring that bell? We don't need this. And I think that was sort of the attitude. And it was very, very disappointing. And, it was one of those dark days when we got that result. And well, then we got a little manna from heaven, right? And COVID came along, and I'm not making light of that because I lost friends, close friends in COVID. But from where we were sitting in terms of getting Ross out, that was an absolute game changer for us. And obviously we had the first Barr memo, which was from Trump's assistant, Attorney General Barr, basically saying to the Bureau of Prisons, if you've got prisoners that meet this criteria, you need to make sure they're out of custody because we can't have COVID in the prison and putting these people at risk. You need to get them out. Well, the Barr memo came, and the BOP said, I don't know, maybe not. So then there was a second Barr memo, and the second one said, hey, guys, did you read the first memo I said? It wasn't discretionary. I'm telling you, get these prisoners out because otherwise some of them are going to end up dead. And so, of course, the BOP started to move, but they just dragged their heels. So I went back to the lawyer who had helped us with the FOIA case. I said, do you know any lawyers in New York? Because I need to get admitted pro hoc vice, which is a way for a lawyer, say from Florida, to get admitted in New York on one particular case. Now, I'm admitted to the federal bar down here in Florida, so it wasn't a big deal to get admitted to the federal bar in New York, but I still needed co-counsel, and I needed a judge to sign off on the order. So it turned out they had an office in New York, and the lawyer there said, yeah, you can come and ride my license, but you got to do all the work. And so, I think it was together with Stephanie, we knocked out like a 50-page memo. It got filed. I'd never filed anything like this in federal court, and certainly obviously not in New York. And then the BOP said to us, we're going to let you out. So I said, okay, this sounds good. I withdrew the motion. And then they changed their mind. They said, no, we've had a change of heart. We're not letting them out.
Doesn't that
So I
sound like the
refiled the
BOP?
case.
It's a true story. It's a true story. They
I
called me in.
refiled the case.
I said, what do you mean you're not letting me out? They said, well, there's been a change in the district. I said, what does that mean? They said, well, sorry.
So
I got to tell him.
I refiled the case in New York, and that's when they said, okay, we're going to let him out. Now, what I didn't know at the time was there were all these other prisoners, and they were all copying the memo that I'd filed because they wanted to get their clients out too, which was great. I didn't care, I remember when we went and got him. It was me and Stephanie and the girls, and I've got some photographs. But that was a day, honestly, there were some times I never thought that was going to come, but it did come, and it was. It was emotional.
I think it's important to recognize something. Being a federal prisoner for the last 9 years and change, President Donald Trump did more, and I understand his shortcomings. I get it. But did more for the prisoners and for the criminal justice system than anybody realizes. The Democrats like to talk about that for criminal justice. They've never done a thing, just so you know. Nothing. In fact, all the laws that they created, specifically Biden, specifically Clinton, is what caused this saturation of our prisons today. Locking everybody up. Ridiculous system. Now, Trump authored something called the First Step Act, which was the first meaningful form of legislation to the benefit of the criminal justice system, and in my case, elderly inmates. If you're over 60 and you have a white-collar crime and you have no criminal history, what the hell are you doing in prison? What are you doing in a camp that costs the prison system billions of dollars when they can stick an ankle monitor on you and send you home? It's just insane. The whole thing is insane. And you got to give credit where credit's due. Trump, with the Congress, managed to pass this law on Christmas Eve, I think 2018, 2019. It's taken 4 years, almost 5 years, to get this law fully implemented. And they're still having problems. Forbes wrote a story recently. But, ultimately, I was released under this act because of my age, health reasons, and the fact that I had a place to go. I have absolutely no criminal history. I'm not a threat or a danger to anybody. And I've had one issue in my entire life, which has been litigated umpteen times, and was found guilty really on a technicality, which I don't believe was legitimate. But be that as it may, we're here today, free. I'm sitting with one of the best attorneys I know and one of the best podcasters I know.
And we're well fed. How back in that day?
We had breakfast, we had lunch,
Yeah.
we had meetings.
Pumped them up.
And with good
What
people.
a lovely day it's been. I got to tell you, you know how to throw a party, Nelson. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I've been told that I can party pretty hard.
And if anybody's interested in having me on their podcast, I want breakfast, I want lunch.
You're gonna have to outdo me. It's gonna be hard.
I'm telling you, this was real Latin hospitality. I mean, Archie Groove shows up. I mean, we're having a ball today, and I'm very grateful.
Definitely.
Just fantastic, bro.
So, just to touch up on what you were saying, I was one of those people before I ended up serving my time. I used to think, oh, if someone's in prison, they deserve it. They did something to end up there. You know what I mean? No one goes
Correct.
to prison for no reason. And then it happened to me, and I realized it's not so black and white. You know, there's a lot of things in the criminal justice system that definitely need reform. There's a lot of people that don't belong in there, like you said. They make one mistake, and they're crucified by the federal government. Many people in there could serve society in a better way if they weren't in there and actually out here trying to do better, make up for their mistake, and serve humanity instead of locking them up, throwing them in there like an animal, and just forgetting about them. I would argue that it's actually worse for the mental health of the person because everybody has the same thought when they go to prison. Oh my God, my life is over. Oh my God, all these things. Everybody has these negative thoughts versus if you show them some compassion, if you show them, all right, I'm going to give you a chance to make up for this. Maybe they would have a different attitude. Maybe other things would be able to get done. But it takes a special kind of individual like you or me that have a different kind of mentality to say, you know what, this isn't going to break me. It's going to make me. But there's so few of us that come out of that way, that view it that way, that I just think about, man, there's so many who get left behind that are good people.
True.
And you've met them. You know who I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Well, I think maybe that's our job now to spread the message, spread the word, and to
100%.
inspire those people. You know, you said something great. You said, oh, my God, I'm going to prison. Oh, my God, my life is over. You know, there's a great expression I've heard. If you want to find God, go to prison,
Oh, yeah.
go to the hospital.
Yep.
You'll find God.
Real quick.
You know, so many of us today, we're focusing on the material, things, the opposite sex, you know, just the material, you know. And one of the things that you learn when everything is stripped away and it's just you in a room, you either find God or you don't. And many of us do find God because at some point there's nothing else. And, you know, people say to me, do you believe in God? Tell me, you're Ross Mandell, you don't really believe. You know, you're rich, you know, you're important, you're famous, blah, blah, blah. The truth of the matter is I found God and God found me. And a few times in my life. And it's always been in the darkest moments when I knew I just couldn't go on. But somehow I did. But I know it wasn't strength that came from somewhere else. Anyone that doesn't believe in divine energy, anyone that doesn't believe in prayer hasn't prayed hard enough. 100%. That's how I feel. And sometimes you really have to go through it, you know, to come out the other side. And you're right, there's so many good people that don't belong in jail. And, you know, like you, I'm guilty of the same thing. I remember getting a call from a Wall Street broke big shot, and I already just got arrested. It was in the Wall Street Journal. It was on TV, just like me. And he was trying to talk to me, and I was like, and we were friendly. And I told him how to call him back, and I called my attorney. And I asked him, I said, what do you think? I mean, this is a good guy, but, I mean, he was arrested. Stay away. That's what the lawyer said.
Yep.
Stay away. Don't take his call. Don't talk to him. Stay
Guilt by
away.
association.
Yeah.
And you know what I did? I turned my back on the guy. I did. I just turned my back. I said, you know what? I'm a married guy. I've got children. I can't risk this. You know, all that I've worked for, I can't risk for to be a good guy and help someone out. And I thought of that decision every single day since I've been indicted, which was in 2009. You know what I'm saying? Because I realized, just like you, I used to hear the national anthem, and I would stand even in my house during a football game or a baseball game when they played the national. I believe in this country. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in all the values and principles America stands for. The problem is there are people that run our government today, and some of them, they don't believe in these principles or values. They just don't believe. They sold America out. They sold themselves out. And corruption is running rampant all over this country. And you know what? It's not my opinion. I mean, this is somewhat known. And I was naive. And, I believed. And that's why I went to trial. And that's why I spent the money. And that's why, because I knew I didn't commit those crimes. I knew I didn't do what I was accused of. But you didn't know. And you didn't know. And you read about it in the newspaper. You saw it on the news. You said, there's smoke, there's fire. That's a big thing. That's what I used to say. Who knows? But if there's smoke, there's fire. And that's a problem today. That's why, one of these guys coined the term fake news. They use the media today to obfuscate the truth, to twist a message, to sell you something, to sell you an agenda, to sell you an idea, to sell you some sort of proposition, to move you the way the people in power want you to be moved. And I just hope people are going to wake up and become cognizant of that fact. And it's happened. While I was away for 9 years and 4 months, for those of you that don't know, it's 112 months. Said it twice. A lot has changed. The world has changed. The power of social media, Twitter, Threads, LinkedIn. I mean, TikTok. It's nuts. It's nuts. You now have sources of information and disinformation that it's just never before. There's so much information to process. When I first got out, and I'm on my iPhone, which is like, holy cow. I felt like I was on Star Trek. You know what I mean? What's this? I'm just pressing stuff. Next thing I know, stuff showing up in my house. I'm getting all kinds of, my wife, stop it. Don't touch that. You don't know what you're doing. It's true. I didn't know. And it's a staggering amount of information. And I couldn't sleep. I'd be up, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I'm watching this, I'm watching that, I'm listening to this, I'm listening to that. It's an amazing world we live in today. When I grew up, we had no cell phones. We didn't even have bank cards. You used to have to actually go to the bank before Friday if you wanted money. You understand how crazy that was? They didn't have debit cards. You had a checkbook. And then they came out with the bank card. And all of a sudden, you could go to a machine. How smart is that? How crazy is that one? And then cell phones, and then the internet, and social media, and then the smart device. And now the iPhone, the iPad, and when you come to a place like today, the first thing we're all sitting around a room, what's the Wi-Fi?
You don't give that out at everybody. You only give it to people you like.
I mean, this is it's been a day like that today for me. Just learning and experiencing new things, and. It's just fantastic. I live for this. I love it. I'm so jazzed up and so excited. I told my wife yesterday, I said, I feel like I have electricity running through me. It's like a part of me has been hibernating. She says, you were on ice for 9 years. I feel like a bear. You crawled into the tree trunk and curled up in a ball because I know I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to eat for the whole winter. 9 years of winter. And then all of a sudden, they tell you you're going to be free, and it's wow, let's go. Let's do it.
So, Mark, what was it like when you found out, all right, yeah, he's getting out. You found out the date. You had the confirmation. Tell me a little bit about what, maybe what the conversation was like with Stephanie that day. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, so at the time, Ross was, he was in Miami. And he was, I think we still at the camp, right?
Correct.
And so I know, there's always this reference to he's in Club Fed. Trust me, there is nothing club about federal prison.
I could definitely tell you that.
Talk about a scam.
Yeah. It's the difference between a large fence and a small fence.
Seriously.
That's it. So, we finally, when we knew that the government was going to let him out, we went down to the prison, and there was me and Stephanie and the girls. And they said, "Oh, be there." I think it was at like 8. I think it was at like 9. They said, "Be there at 9." I think that was the time. So now it's getting close to 10. I'm like, "Oh God, I hope they haven't changed their mind." And all of a sudden, there was this sort of like procession of like 10, 12 guys.
12 guys.
That came out, and I think you guys had to go into the room. another room and hand over some stuff, and then they came out, and I just have this sort of distinct memory of seeing the girls run up to him. That I remember, and I just sort of stood there and watched, and I don't know, I wasn't sure how I would feel, because there had been many times where I'd been, I'd laid awake at night, or I'd been in the office, and I sort of used to close my eyes and just think about that moment, what it would feel like to finally get him out. Because not only, he wasn't just a client. I mean, I knew him personally. I knew, it's interesting. You talk about like the effect that going to prison has on someone. I think what people don't understand is the effect that it has on the family. Now, I knew what it had done to his family, but when I used to go and visit him, and I was a pretty regular visitor to the prison, I used to see all the other families. And you see what it does to them. And then you understand what prison really is all about. It's not just punishing one person. It's about punishing everybody that's connected to him. And I think that's the point that gets missed. And when we see all this stuff on TV, dramatizing, people that have been alleged to commit crimes, people don't understand what the backstory is, and they don't understand what the family's going through. I mean, when the federal government prosecutes somebody, they prosecute the whole family. Right? I mean, Stephanie went through hell. The girls went through hell. I mean, it wasn't just that he was locked up. They didn't have their dad. She didn't have her husband. And so there's a lot of moving pieces here. So when I stood there and I watched the girls, run up to Stephanie, it was just an amazing experience. It really was. And I called my wife and I said, he's out. I got him. He really got out. I really did it. And it was really quite monumental. It really was. And so
it's a beautiful thing.
It was euphoric for me, and I was happy for him. And but it wasn't the end of the journey. It was just it was the beginning of the end, but it wasn't the end. And so, but it was truly an amazing experience. I mean, again, I'd never handled a case like this, so actually to experience this firsthand was it's special. So I mean, I've been honored to be his lawyer. I have. It's been an amazing experience. I mean, I've lived this with him for a long time, and I don't know. I'm really grateful to be here with him.
We're still going,
and we're still going. I mean, we're
still
just
going.
We're just getting started, and so this has been an amazing day in so many ways. I mean, to meet everybody here, to meet you and the rest of the crew, and to be here with Stephanie, it's just. I almost want to, just say, is this real? Am I here? Or is this the Matrix? I'm not sure.
No, this is real.
It is real.
I'm going to tell you how crazy it is for this gentleman, because it's today's Wednesday. On Saturday night, I was at his wedding. He just got married. And what you don't know, he's a graduate of University of Michigan. And he might be, next to Jim Harbaugh, the second most interested fan in the history of Michigan football. And Michigan just won the Natty National Championship, all in one weekend. And
I had my birthday. I got married on Saturday.
His birthday.
My birthday was Sunday, and obviously Monday was the Natty game.
And Wednesday,
Ross gets up.
What'd you do yesterday?
Yesterday was very boring compared to the last couple of days.
Well, I can tell you
take
guys.
one day off.
I can tell you guys, yesterday was a big day for me. And it's crazy because I'm going to tell you why yesterday was the day. So today you got out. We're having this great day. Yesterday was the day I went into prison.
Wow.
So on a day like yesterday, and it's my sister's birthday, no less. So her birthday present for my sister's 32nd birthday was dropping off her baby brother with my niece and my nephew, her kids, and my mom. Dropping your brother off at prison. That was her present for her 32nd birthday.
And you posted that, by the way.
I did, yeah.
I read that.
I did. And like I said, instead of thinking the worst, I was like, wow, I have someone I can really depend on for the rest of my life. In those moments, you really get to see who really has your back. But to go back to the craziness of the weekend you had and the day you're having, I've had the same few days where these past, I don't know, it's maybe we're starting off 2024 with a bang.
Baby.
This is our
Can you
year.
feel the energy? I could feel it.
It's going to be fantastic.
It's a real thing.
It's exciting.
It's really exciting. And I tell you, what a privilege to be here. I'm in Miami for the first time in 9 years, and I'm not in prison, in a detention center, in a camp, or at a halfway house.
And you don't have to run home, and the phone isn't going to ring. And
and my ankle feels naked without my bracelet.
For those
I might
of
have
you
to go
that
buy
don't,
an ankle bracelet.
for those of you that don't know, when you're on house arrest under the custody of the halfway house, they call you in the middle of the night, 2, 3 in the morning.
Oh God!
You got a house phone hooked up at your house. Nobody even has those anymore, and they call you. Hey, random call.
4 in the morning, the guy goes to me last night goes, Ross Mandell? I'm like, who else is laying in my bed answering my phone at 4 in the morning, you dope? He goes, Ross Mandell? I said, yes, it's Ross Mandell. He goes, just a random call, Mr. Mandell.
That's so
Then he
funny.
says, you know, this is going to be your last one.
Oh, man, that must have been nice.
I hung up on him. I said, bro, no, I had enough, bro. Nothing personal, but like, come
That's
on, man.
great. That's hilarious.
Sayonara. I mean, it's really very surreal. I still, it still hasn't sunk in really. It's been a lovely day, and we had a rough day this morning going down to the halfway house. I have a wife, God bless her. She's got wisdom I don't have. She says, I don't think we should take the express lane. My dad was a truck driver, and he says, never take the express lane. I'm like, no, take the express lane. She goes, I don't think we should take the express lane. I say, go in the express lane, please. I do this. I've been going down 6 times a month for 11 months. She goes, all right. Look, gives me that look. If any of you gentlemen out there that have been married, you know the look. All right, honey, you dope. She goes to the express lane. We stop. There's 3 local lanes. And I got to pee. I mean, you know what it's like to be stuck on 95 in Fort Lauderdale for 2 hours?
Actually, you know what it's like to be stuck when you're in your mid-50s or 60s and having to pee and stuck on 95? That's different.
God.
That's the difference.
I got a 60-year-old bladder. I mean, listen, not an easy day. But you know what? Now it's beautiful. To be here with you, Nelson, to be here with Mark, to be here with G and Eli and Stevie and Archie Groove and just everybody. It's just really been special. You guys have made it special for me today.
Definitely. We here at TNA Studios, we try to make sure our star client Ross Mandell is rocking and rolling, feeling at home, and we're making it happen. This is monumental because from now on, this is the pace we got to keep up. We got to live up to this. You know what I mean?
Listen, energy. It's the year of energy. Somebody told me I have an Asian developer from Silicon Valley. What a shock! And he says, "Hey man, it's the year of the dragon."
Wow.
It's the year of the dragon. He goes, get excited. I don't even know why I should get excited, but the way he said it made me very excited. It's exciting.
That just sounds exciting.
It's the year of the dragon.
I don't even know
get
what that
excited.
means.
And he's this Asian kid, and I'm like, all right, I'm excited. So sometimes it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And that's what people hear. And so
the year of the dragon just sounds exciting, man. It just
year
sounds
of the dragon.
It sounds like a Bruce Lee movie.
It's like the Game of Thrones, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
No.
The Dragon Clan. What's that? The lady's name? Khaleesi?
The Khaleesi. Love her.
It's great.
Love her. Emma something.
Yeah, definitely.
She's fantastic.
No more watching Netflix binges. You were telling me a little bit about your Netflix and the binges on Netflix.
The greatest thing ever created for home confinement was Netflix and Prime Video. It's unbelievable how much good stuff is on there. So, I'm in prison for 9 years, and there's just you got no TV. They have the cheapest cable package. It's always a little TV. It's always mounted far from you. I'm sitting there, and whoever has the remote control is like the king. They say that people get stabbed in prison for 2 things: the microwave line
and the TV.
And the TV remote control. And they did away with microwaves. That's how bad the stabbings were getting. Because people would cut the line and over microwave, and 30 guys are waiting, and one guy decides to cook an apple pie in a microwave for 2 hours. 30 guys are waiting. And so you really never get to watch what you want to watch, when you want to watch it, and all that. So get out. And everybody's saying, you got to check out this, you got to check this out. So I put the show on, and it's a good show. And then, right at the end, oh my God, what happened? And they cut it off. Now I got to watch the next episode. It's very episodic, which is what Nelson's going to do to his podcast soon. We always have to leave you wanting a little bit more. They set the hook. And so I'm watching the show last night, and called Money Heist. I'm promoting something that I shouldn't, right?
Great show.
What did 50 Cent say? Fuck you, pay me. Netflix, you owe me. And so I'm watching this big heist. It's a heist that goes on for like 12 episodes. Each episode's 45 minutes. It's the longest heist in history. And I still don't know what happens. But I'm hooked, and you just watch it, and you watch it. Next thing you know, you kill a day. Well, when you have 11 months of home confinement, guess what?
You're killing days.
Thank God for Netflix. And they keep churning out product, and good product.
Definitely.
I mean, some of the stuff is just excellent. You know, better than big movies and all that kind of stuff.
They should change the film awards to just the Netflix awards because Netflix wins everything.
That's what the host said at the Golden Globes. And he got panned, just so,
Yeah.
no Taylor Swift jokes.
Definitely not. Can you believe that lady? That lady is going to cities and changing economies, and she's generating so much money.
God bless her. I was in an elevator with her many years ago when she was a little kid playing with the Jonas Brothers.
Wow.
And I remember I was, I took my children to see a Jonas Brothers concert in New York. And we found out that they were playing Madison Square Garden. We had tickets, but they were staying at one of the Trump hotels on the west side of Manhattan, Upper West Side. And we had lived in a Trump building for many years. And so we were able to get a great spot for them in the same hotel. And all the kids wanted to do was run into the Jonas Brothers. And so they're waiting in the lobby one day, and they call me up and say, Dad, we're waiting. Come on down. So I get in the elevator. I get down. There's this big colored fellow, big black guy, and a woman, and then 4 kids, a pretty little girl and 3 little boys. And I'm, talking to them. We're talking to the guy, the adults, and, waiting. And the door opens in the lobby. And there's a gentleman, I let them walk out first. And my wife and kids are standing there across the lobby and like, Daddy, oh my God, you were in the elevator with the Jonas Brothers. And that's Taylor Swift. And I'm looking all over for the Jonas Brothers. I didn't know they were midgets. They were like, 4'6". They were little kids. They were the biggest deal. They were the biggest deal in this country. They're all over the news, the newspaper. They're selling out arenas. They're making millions. And I'm like in the elevator with these kids. I didn't get an autograph, nothing. And this Taylor Swift was, I guess, on tour with them at the time. And she was about a head taller than the tallest Jonas brother. And still, she was a little kid. I mean, you're talking about like 11, 12 years old, something to that effect.
Right.
And I was like, damn, I missed my shot. But look what she's managed to do. Look what she's managed to do. She's bigger than the Beatles, bigger than Elvis Presley ever
Magnificent.
was.
Yeah, magnificent.
Changing the economies of cities just because her Eras tour coming to a city near you. What a beast she is.
Brilliant.
I'm a Swiftie.
Swiftie. How big are you that your fans take on nicknames? How big do you have to be? You know what I mean? Michael Jackson didn't have like Jacksies, or the Beatles didn't have Beaties.
Swiftie sort of works.
It does, though.
Maybe one day they'll be Rossies. I like that. Nelson's doesn't work, bro.
No.
Maybe.
Montana?
Nelson's. I like it.
Monty's?
Monty's. I love it. I love it. The Monty's.
The Monty's.
Nelson and the Monty's.
Man. Definitely.
Fantastic.
Ross, so I heard something the other day, and it reminded me of you. So when you add up the year, the numbers in 2024, 2 + 2 + 4 = 8. They say when you turn 8 sideways, it means infinity. So the infinity is actually a symbol. That 8 is a sign of like what the possibilities for this year. Isn't that a hell of a way to interpret what 2024 means?
It's the year of the dragon, bro.
That's the name of the episode.
I'm telling you.
The year of the dragon.
I am telling you, the possibilities are infinite. They really are.
That's awesome.
They really are. The dragon is this mythical creature, right? And, when you
Breathe
think
fire.
about, if you can have dragons, then you could have anything.
Pretty much.
And so that's the year. I mean, it's infinity. I mean, eight to me is, in numerology, it means prosperity. My birthday was March 18th, 318. And everyone's always told me, oh, you're going to be very successful. You're going to have riches and wealth. So what do you mean? I said, well, look at your birthday. It's 318. 8 is prosperity. And then 18 is money or life in Hebrew, chai, letter chai. Jews for thousands of years give charities and gifts. They give, the denominator is 18. When I got married, my wife was opening up the envelope. She goes, what the hell is this? I said, what do you mean? She goes, why did your cousin give us $180? And I was like, well, it's 10 times chai. And that's how, a lot of the Orthodox Jewry look at things. It's a good thing. But 8 means prosperity, infinity. And of course, the Year of the Dragon.
That is the name of the episode, ladies and gentlemen.
The Year of the Dragon. Let's go.
Mark, are you spiritual at all?
Well, I never used to be. So I will share a little story. Because we got on the subject of Michigan. So, and I actually this is what I told.
This is a good one.
I told my guests at my wedding. So this is not something I'm not sharing. I haven't shared before. But so last year Michigan was playing TCU in the playoffs, and and there's always, for me, the Michigan connection. It always reminds me of my father because I lost my dad. It'll be 7 years on the 15th of January, and my father knew Ross very well and thought incredibly highly of him. But my father he knew nothing about college football, but he knew about Michigan, he knew about the Rose Bowl. So I always get a little emotional when I think about football because it reminds me of my dad. But so Michigan was playing TCU, and I looked up. I said, God, if you allow Michigan to beat TCU, I will marry this girl who's now my wife. I'll marry her. Anyway, Michigan lost the game. And I said, okay, something not right here. And then, of course, God is not listening to me.
Aha.
But then
interpretation.
It was interpretation. I realized I was doing things wrong. What I had to do was I had to get married first. I had to get married first.
Then God would bless the marriage.
Then God would bless Michigan. So what happened? At the beginning of the season, actually before the season started, we decided we were going to get married, and we drove all the way from South Florida to Ann Arbor for the home opener, and we started to roll through. We got to the Penn State game, which was a road game. They won. Then Ohio State came. They won. They made the playoffs, and they're at the Rose Bowl. Now, I've been to 2 Rose Bowls before where Michigan played, and we lost them both, so I was definitely not going to go because I was afraid I was going to hex the whole damn thing. So here we go. It's 2 minutes to go, right? Michigan's down. And I'm looking at, I'm like, I made this commitment. Where's the deal here? We're down by a touchdown. It's 4th and 2. And wouldn't you know it, we converted on the 4th and 2. We drive down. We tie the game up. Game goes to extra time. We scored. Okay? Alabama gets the ball back. They drive down 4 times, can't punch it in, game over. I'm like, I don't believe this thing. But apparently, God is listening. So I got married on Saturday. The natty game was on Monday. Now, we were up, I think it was 14-10 at the half, but we weren't looking that good. They come out in the third period, and Washington's starting to move the ball, and I'm thinking, okay, this is really going to test that whole God concept. But you know what? Fourth quarter came along. We picked it up, and I'm going to tell you, I am a fan of God. I definitely am. That stuff works. It worked for him, and apparently it works for me too. I mean, I'm not a religious guy, but sometimes when you ask, he listens.
Yeah.
So I got married. I had my birthday. Michigan won the natty. I'm here with my boy. I'm here with you, the rest of the crew. I don't know. That sounds like I'm pretty blessed.
Who's better than us?
Nobody.
I love it.
So I don't know. I think I'm blessed. So apparently there is somebody listening up there.
No
You just got to ask the right question and interpret it correctly.
No question.
So
Beautiful story.
That's awesome. Well, Ross, I've been meaning to ask you this question for a long time. I can relate to you in difficulty, obstacles, the things you've overcome. What I want people to learn from you, if possible, is in spite of all that stuff that happens to you, what enrolled me into what you're doing and how you got me to be one of your top supporters, be a part of the team. You have a gift at painting a vision. How is it that you learned how to paint a vision? Where'd you get the skills from? And what are some things other people can do to paint the vision for their team and enroll people in their vision that they have for their life?
That's a great question. It's a great question. And, it's some of the skills I did learn on Wall Street from my experience. And I'll never forget, it was 8 a.m. We get on the phone. And we're doing our thing. We're pitching. We're getting leads. We're pitching leads to get new accounts. We're pitching our accounts to raise money, to do trades. And the manager walks around one day. He was a kid that from Staten Island that ended up going to Harvard. He was the first kid from Staten Island that ever went to Harvard. was like a big deal.
Big deal.
And he became to Wall Street, and he was at my investment bank, very famous brokerage firm on Wall Street, 44 Wall Street. And he starts excoriating one of the brokers, yelling at him. And he says, "Get up." And we were sitting on chairs with little wheels on them. And he kicks the chair. And the chair goes flying across the boardroom. And he says, "Everybody get up." He's screaming at everybody. Now, at this point, I'm like a 28-year-old kid. I'm a worker. I'm energetic. I'm passionate. I get up. Everybody's terrified. Why is this guy screaming? He just kicked a chair across the boardroom. He says, "Hang up the phone." Okay. And this is the first rule that I have and that I teach. And this is from legitimate experience. He says, "What are you guys doing?" "Mandell, what are you doing?" I'm pitching a stock." "What stock?" "Tell him the stock." He says, "You sound good. Are you excited?" I said, "I'm very excited." And then he takes this kid literally by the back of the shirt. And he says, "You're not excited." He says, "If you're not excited, why should your prospect be excited? If you're not passionate, why should anybody be passionate?" He says, "What's wrong?" He says, "Oh, I was out late last night, Jim. We were drinking." "Get the fuck out of here." He says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Get out. Get out." And this is a kid that's making about 70 or 80,000 a month. So that's about 800, 900,000 a year. Kicks his chair away and tells him he's got to walk around the corner. "Go around the block and come back when you're excited. I don't want you to come back here till you're excited. Because if you're not excited, why should they be excited?" Aha. So this is a very interesting concept I learned. And when you communicate with somebody, listen, if you're just chewing the fat, you're just talking shit, all right. But if you want to convey a message, if you want to be interesting, get excited. There's so much good stuff to be excited about. We have a good friend. We call him G. I'm just going to use an initial, okay? G is an exciting kid. He really is. A dynamic young man. Unbelievably gifted, a super handsome leader type, alpha in every sense of the word. However, whenever you talk to the kid on the phone, yo. I'm like, "What, I just wake you up? You coming out of a coma? What are you on, fucking dopamine? What are you on, some drug? What the fuck is wrong with you? Yo. I'm like, bro, if we were going to play sports, you'd be excited. Where's your energy? Where's your passion?" So what I want to say is the first thing, and you mentioned this, is communicating a vision. You're excited by what we're doing. Why? Because I'm excited. Now, I can communicate that same vision intellectually. Hello, Nelson. Guess what? It's not exciting. Emotion is huge. And if I'm emotional, there's a good chance you might be emotional. If I'm excited, then there's cause for you to be excited. The first thing that happens when you talk to somebody excited is the other person says, "What are you so excited about?" Just like, "What's so funny?" Right? People are just cracking up. What's so funny? You ever see a comedian that doesn't laugh on stage and smile at jokes? No.
Boring.
He brings you in with him.
Yep.
Emotion is captivating. And so what I try to do is if I have a vision and it's meaningful to me and I'm going to share it with you, I'm going to attach energy to it. Okay? Einstein posited many, many years ago, literally over 100 years ago, the theory of relativity, that everything that exists in this universe is energy in one form or another. You see this chair? You take this chair and you throw it the speed of light squared, it becomes pure energy. You understand? Nothing is ever destroyed in this universe. Everything just changes form. So if I can convey something to you, the first rule, get excited. And in my curriculum, in the things that I teach, that the dedication and leveling of my energy is attached, okay, is attached to any vision that I try to communicate. And if you want to know any more, you're going to have to buy my course. 'Cause I love you. But I'm Jewish. And we need to make some money. And, you know, I have a wife and she wants to know, you know, show me the money, she says.
In the famous words of 50 Cent.
Show me the money.
Mark,
That was Cuba Gooding.
tell me about a time where you saw this ability that Ross has to paint a vision and it got you excited.
You know, that's a great question. You know, I will tell you, I do have a specific memory. There's so many with him, but so when in the middle of all of this craziness, we belong to this. I told you we were all in the same social sort of circle, and I bumped into him on the beach. You might not remember this. I remember this because there's just certain things about you just don't forget. And he was lying there. Now you got to remember. I mean, Ross was jacked. He's still jacked, but pre-prison Ross was jacked. And there he is lying there on the beach in all his glory. And I remember him telling me about the whole MMA thing. You know, and as somebody who studies in the martial arts, I mean, I share the same passion for the martial arts and the fighting sports and all that stuff. But he was telling me about, you know, about all this league he was going to launch, and Don King was involved and all these amazing players. And he said, but there's just one problem. I get the federal government, you know, out there, and they want to lock me up for as long as they possibly can. And, you know, it was sort of a bittersweet moment because the idea that he was going to launch this sort of UFC rival, Don King, I mean, and get all these great fighters. And, you know, Ross is so passionate about things. When he tells you something, it's hard not to get passionate with him.
100%.
And I was so excited about the idea that, you know, here's my friend Ross Mandell. He's going to launch, you know, this version of the UFC right here in Boca. But, of course, we had the whole federal government thing going on, and that really sort of shut it down. But I'm sure that'll be one of the things that Ross will do, because Ross is the kind of guy that says, okay, I'm going to do it. It just happens. And I think, and it's not just because he wills it, it's because he's able to draw people in who share his passion for achieving great things.
100%.
And I think that one of the things that he has done or is going to do is to have a team around him that's going to share his vision. I mean, I know I do, and I know that you do, and a lot of the folks that we met today share that vision. So, you know, when he says it's Ross 3.0, I think that this is. I don't think we've seen anything that Ross can do to this point. I think we're about to, though, and I think it's going to be mind blowing.
That's for sure.
It is, and you know, well, it's almost like we waited for the technology to catch up to Ross, right?
Yeah.
The iPhone and the social media and the internet. Now it's caught up to him. He's ready.
So I don't know if you guys know about this, but this is an interesting anecdote to kind of play into what you just said. James Cameron is a brilliant director. He's made Terminator and all these phenomenal movies, Titanic and Avatar. So interesting thing about Avatar that most people don't know. Avatar is a 4-part movie. There's 4 parts to it, and they're already written. They're just written in such a manner that the technology isn't capable enough to create what James Cameron has imagined in his mind. So he literally has made parts 1 and 2, but he has to wait a certain amount of years for the technology to catch up for him to actually turn that into a real thing, a real movie. So it's interesting that you've expressed that the technology has now caught up to Ross, because that's the only other time where I've kind of seen something where someone was so far ahead of their time that you needed to wait until things were in place. So that's what's happening with Ross.
Baby.
And it's not just the technology. I mean, look, there's a lot of people out there who are, I would consider dynamic, you know, people out on social media, but none of them have had his background, his experience. I mean, to a certain extent, some of those individuals are sort of manufactured. They're sort of, you know, they're sort of AI'd for social media.
Right.
I mean, what you see with him is what you're going to get. I mean, it's an incredible story. It really is. And there's not going to be any need to embellish or manufacture or any of this
100%.
stuff. You're going to get the real. You're going to get the real deal, and that's gonna inspire a lot of people, because they're going to say, listen, if he can lose everything and get it all back and then some, then maybe I can too. 100%. And I think that's really what his journey is going to be about, is inspiring people. I mean, listen, he inspired me to do something I never thought I would do, right? I mean, to work on a case like this that I did. I mean, wow.
To sue the federal government. He sued the FBI,
I'm
the
still,
DOJ, and the SEC.
I'm still waiting for the guys with the black bags to show up at my front door. Thank God I have a Belgian Malinois dog, or I really would be in danger.
The SEC called him and said, please let us out of the case.
Yeah.
Please, it wasn't our fault. It was the DOJ. True story.
So I will tell you, there's a federal prosecutor who's in New York. I won't name him, but he'll be glad not to be hearing from me ever again. Hopefully.
Hope he's not watching this podcast.
Yeah. He's going to say, wow.
Like
I won't have to hear from Astor again,
like
complaining again
we'll get him
about
on
how
the
his
podcast.
clients being treated.
Exactly.
So
I share something with Ross in that I have a sales background, a business background. And when I was a kid, 18, 19 years old, still learning about sales and getting into the field, I sold off passion. I didn't know what about the product that I was selling. I didn't know about any of that stuff, but I was so excited about the opportunity to sell a product that people bought from me. And it's that principle has been something foundational in everything I do. Every time I start a new venture, every time I'm doing a podcast, I try to remember to always be passionate about, only do things that I'm passionate about, because my passion is going to come out and that's going to enroll people. You know what I mean? So, and that's why I love working with you and being around you, because you have that passion in everything you do and you only do things that you're passionate about, you know?
Thank you. You know, when I was a younger guy, I felt like I could sell anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, somebody came to me once and said, I said, you're the greatest salesman. So I'm not a great salesman. So you're a great salesman. He says, if only you would sell something that was really great.
Right.
Imagine where you could go. And that infected me. It infected me with the concept that, yes, she's right. And from that moment on, really, I wrote a book called Rock Solid. Chapter 2 was called Belief. Belief is the single most powerful thing in this universe. If you, a very famous quote, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're probably right. You understand what I mean? If you believe you can, you believe you can't, you're right.
Definitely.
And if you believe you can, you probably can. And so that's the most important thing to know. You harness that belief, find stuff that you believe in, that you're passionate about, and it's hard to be denied. It's hard to be denied when you believe. But you got to really believe. You understand what I mean?
Everything you got.
And if you don't believe, get the fuck out, walk around the block, and come back till you believe. That's good advice, boy.
That's awesome.
Let me tell you. For you salesmen out there, get excited. And if you're not excited, get excited. Don't come back till you're excited.
That's awesome. Ross, this has been great. I always typically wrap up my podcast asking 3 questions.
Woo. Uh-oh.
So I'm going to lay out on you.
Let's go.
Question number 1. What inspires Ross Mandell?
I'll tell you in a nutshell. You inspire me. And I'm not just saying that. I sincerely mean that. You're a young man. You went to prison. Well, first of all, you were prosecuted. I mean, you went to prison for about 5 minutes. Let's be honest. I love guys like him, you know.
They call us short timers.
He
on the
had the
inside.
short stay.
Short timers.
You know, from the moment he had his intake, they already did his outtake. Just so you know, this is what the officers in prison do. They said, we hate guys like him
Fair
because
enough.
at his intake, we're doing the outtake.
Fair enough.
He was
fair
in for like about 3 minutes. But what a guy. And he lost everything. And to some extent, when you're a young man in this world, what you do is who you are. I get that. Because if you asked who Ross Mandell was, I would say I'm a stockbroker. I actually said that. They said, no. So who are you? I said,
Yep.
well, I'm a stockbroker. Yep. No. I mean, what kind of a person are you? Well, I'm a good person, but I'm a stockbroker. So that, you know, unfortunately, in the world that we live in today, we identify with
What we do.
what we do, especially as men. And now women, too. I mean, I hate to say it. You know, watching a young man like you go through a hell that only people like us can truly understand what it is to be sort of victimized, prosecuted, jailed, have all your rights stripped away from you by the federal government. The United States, the most powerful country in the history of the world. I mean, we go in and just take over countries. I mean, we decide to arrest, you know, the president of Panama. We send in some Apache helicopters. We take him out. We stick him in Miami prison. For real.
Yep.
You know, I mean, this is a serious enemy to have. And you go through what we went through, and you come out the other side, and you pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and you're making I'm sure you're making your sister proud now. You're making me proud, watching the man you're becoming, looking at you every day, getting up, being the first guy in the office, working out every day, lifting weights, meditating, doing yoga, running your errands. I follow Nelson Rodriguez. What do we call it? The Montana Prophet
Montana the Prophet.
and the Montana Mindset. These are you should follow this fella's Instagram, his TikTok. I mean, he's absolutely the real deal. He's fantastic. And I always like to say, the people that I appreciate the most in this world, I've learned in my 66 years, are not the people that, they say it's the journey. It's not the destination, it's the journey, and it's neither. It's not the journey and it's not the destination, but it's the company you keep along the way. That's what really makes it exciting and wonderful. And watching you now coming up, I love to see people that are on the come up, people that are on the journey. I already know what your destination looks like. It's spectacular, bro. And, the journey's the journey. And, you went through hell. They say if you find yourself going through hell, just keep going. Don't stop. You didn't. You didn't make a home of it. You were in and out in 5 months or whatever it was. And next. There's always another deal and another opportunity, and you're making the most of it. So I'm so proud of you. And it gives me such a good feeling. I'm felling today because watching, young men like you on the come up, it's a privilege.
Appreciate that.
Exciting to be around.
I just know that the rest of my life is the best of my life. You know what I mean? I'm excited.
No question. Just believe that.
Definitely.
And it is. You understand, right?
Of 100%.
If you believe it is or you believe it isn't, you're right.
A friend of mine said, man, why are you so, you have so much passion? Why? And I told him, because I feel it in my bones that what's coming in my life is seriously going to be the best era I've ever had, the best version of Nelson that's ever lived, the best version of everything, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. I'm not even married yet. One day I'm going to be married and have kids.
Easy does it, Tiger.
Yeah, I'm not in a rush, but I'm saying that's another chapter I'll have in my future that'll be amazing. And
the right woman. Wait,
definitely.
don't rush.
No rush.
Remember, you're Latin. These Latinos, they're so full of natural passion for life, for music, for love.
For sure.
City
of Miami. You need a passport to come down here. This is another country.
Listen, I need an ankle monitor to come down here. Prison ID. Now it's just like, holy moly.
So question number 2, my friend.
Yes, sir.
What's next for Ross Mandell?
What's next? Well, what's next is Nelson Rodriguez, the Montana Prophet, is going to be on my podcast.
Exciting stuff.
He's going to be on the stage with me, and I'm going to have the privilege to introduce you. That's what's next. We're going to take this to a whole nother level. We're going to create episodes, and we're going to instill in people a sense of belonging and a sense of, we can do it, you can do it, okay? I'm not sitting around today moping and whining that I lost 9 years and they took away tens of millions of dollars from me and they locked me up, poor me. No. There's 2 people in this world you have to watch out for. And don't ever forget this. There's only 2 people in this world that you got to be afraid of. And that's poor me and the great I am. No one else has to be feared. So what's next for Ross Mandell is to have the Montana Prophet on my podcast. Either here, we got to build a different set, or you'll come to my studio in Boca Raton.
We'll make it happen.
We're going to make it happen.
That's awesome.
Question number 3.
Question number 3,
Lay
my
it
friend.
on me, baby.
How does Ross Mandell want to be remembered when he's no longer here?
That's a great question. I took my company public on the London Stock Exchange in 2002, and we had a big, successful day. And the stock exchange came to me and said, look, great job. We're proud of you. We're asking you to go on national television tonight because you reopened the markets in a very positive way. It was right after 9/11. The whole world was a little dismayed. The financial markets were crushed. And so I agreed to go on national TV for 9 minutes, CEO on the hot seat. And right before I went on, it was my first time ever being on television. Right before I went on, they hired this kid, this IR guy for me, who was like sort of giving me 2 minutes of media training right before they pushed me in front of the camera. And he grabbed me. He says to me, Mandell. I'm so nervous. He says, Mandell, do you want to be remembered? I'm like, what kind of question is that? He says, do you want to be remembered? You know, no, I want to be forgotten. What kind of stupid question is that? Is it like a trick question? He says, if you want to be remembered, then you have to do something memorable. That's how you'll be remembered. So that little nugget of wisdom stuck with me for a long time, and to this day. You have to do something memorable. And so that's my whole bucket list right there. I want to do something fantastic. I want to give. I want to help. I want to inspire others to be better, to get more, to be more. I want my family to be proud of me. I want my girls to say, that's my dad. You know what I mean? This is what's really the most important thing to me, is the people that I love, that I cherish, my closest friends, my family. I want them to be proud of me. I want them to say, you know, Ross Mandell, what a guy. That's it. And that's how I want to be remembered.
My brother, it's been a pleasure.
My brother.
I'm super excited to create what we're about to create with you. This is, it's going to be ironic because people are going to see this probably when we're already kicking ass and taking names. But
you never know. Hopefully we're going to be releasing 8 cuts a day. Rosie.
Right, Rosie.
Gabby.
Mark, any closing remarks?
Well, look, first of all, thank you for having us.
Of course, my pleasure.
It's been a pleasure to be here. You know, I'll say one thing. So the ceremony, this is how important Ross is to me on a personal level. The ceremony for my wedding was supposed to start at 6. 6:15, he's not here. He's not there. We were doing the ceremony at my in-laws' house. So my wife says, we got to start. I'm like, we cannot start. Ross is not here yet. So I see Stephanie driving past the house. I'm like, I think they're here. So I ran out. I'm like, come in. So
True story. I was running out of the house.
We delayed the ceremony because I couldn't do it without him. I needed him there. So he's my client, but he's also my brother from another mother. He's family. And we only had family there. So when I say family, I mean family. And so I'm excited for what the future holds for him, for all of us. I mean, my life has been a journey too, and a large part of it has been being on his journey with him. So this is very exciting for all of us because we're all family now. So thank you for this, for letting us share a little bit of our story with you today.
Thank you, Nelson.
You're welcome, guys. I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate your time. And this is the first of many special projects we're going to be working on together.
Absolutely.
All righty, guys. So that was the exclusive first interview of the one and only Ross, the Boss Mandell.
The Year of the Dragon.
That's the title of the episode.
2024.
Special guest, Ross Mandell, Mark Astor. As always, guys, closing with the same message. Push it to the limit. The world is yours. If you are not chasing a dream, life is meaningless. Say goodnight to the bad guy.
I've been out here hustling all my life. Every day we get into it. Really out here in these streets. That's day and night. Like there's nothing to it. When I was going through it, dog, I never got your call. I never asked for nothing, no. But now I want it all. I promise I'ma do it. Came from rags to riches. Rags to riches. Came from rags to riches. Rags.